So I had one of the most scariest things in business happen to me recently. I've been in business for many years and I've never had a customer chargeback until recently. And I was freaking out like, what? I was scared. I was like, someone can just take their money back? What? I was scared. I was all the feelings. I was like, man, what am I gonna do? But I'm so happy that I ended up winning the chargeback. So I wanted to talk a little bit about chargebacks and also give you guys some tips on how you can win your chargeback as well if it ever happens to you. What exactly is a chargeback? So a chargeback is a transaction reversed made by the customer after they are charged by a merchant. So a chargeback is different from a refund because typically the merchant or the business owner is the one that processes the refund. But when a customer does a chargeback on your business, they contact their bank, they file a dispute, and then the money is reversed and given back to the customer if the customer wins their dispute. Now, a dispute is an action taken by a cardholder, while a chargeback is a result that can happen from a dispute. All right, so that is, kind of the difference between them. So why does this matter? Why do we care about chargebacks? Well, a chargeback, it's a very scary experience for business owners because some customers can use this process to steal from your business. And unfortunately, some businesses have had to close down because of too many chargebacks. According to Shopify, chargebacks can also reduce a business's income and lead to penalties if they occur too frequently. I'm going to include a clip where that information is from. So how does the chargeback process work? So the customer contacts their bank to file a dispute. The disputed funds are held from the business until the card issuer investigates. But with some situations, like the one with mine, the bank automatically returns the money to the cardholder. So the next, you receive a notification from your payment processor that the customer has filed a dispute, and you receive a certain amount of time to fight the dispute, or you can accept the dispute. After you submit your evidence, it takes time for the bank to examine it and make a final decision. Now, if you lose, the customer keeps the money, and if you win, you get your money back. Now, keep in mind that with disputes, you can also be charged an additional dispute fee. So if you end up losing, you'll lose the amount that the customer paid, and you'll also end up losing the dispute fee. See, when I got my chargeback, the dispute amount was about $99, but then the dispute fee was about $15. So I ended up having to forfeit about $114 at no fault of my own. I was sad. So just keep that in mind. So now, why do people file disputes? Some people file disputes because their item isn't shipped and they haven't received their product. The item that they receive is not as described. Let's say your customer is just a plain scammer. Okay, your customer may have buyer's remorse and just want their money back. All right. Another reason that people file disputes is because you yourself, as the business owner, did not fulfill your merchant obligation. Maybe they ordered something, you didn't ship it in the time that you said you would, etc. And another reason that some people file disputes is because the customer didn't even make the purchase. They didn't make the purchase. It was a fraudulent purchase. So there are different reasons that a customer may need to make a dispute. So if you're a business owner, how can you protect yourself from dispute? If a dispute is coming, you're like, get away from me! How can you protect yourself? So number one, I'm going to give you, I'm going to give you 9 ways you can protect yourself and your online business from disputes. Make sure you're doing what you say you're going to do and operating correctly. You're never going to be protected from chargebacks if you're running and scamming people with your business. Okay, so that's first and foremost. Number 1, do not be a scammer. If you say you're going to ship something within a designated time frame, do so. If you can't, Make sure you notify the customer to make sure it's still okay for you to ship. Communicate with your customer. If you are not doing your job as a business owner and a customer disputes, that's just, it's certain, hey, they have to do what they have to do. So as a business owner, make sure you're keeping your end of the agreement of what you said you're going to do. Always make sure the item is shipped to the exact address on the order and that it matches the address that was shipped with the tracking number. I do understand if a customer accidentally puts the wrong address and etc. and contacts you immediately to change it. Things happen. Or better yet, if there's a way you can change it in the system, the address in the system, make like an address adjustment. You just want to have as much record as possible so that someone can't file a dispute and claim that they never received the item and you have no evidence to show the bank once they require you to send evidence in order to fight back the dispute. Use the fraud analysis feature on platforms like Shopify. And with the fraud analysis feature, you can see if an order is a medium or high risk and then cancel it if necessary. So if you see an order that's a medium or high risk, you can decide, you know what, I'm not going to bother myself. This is too much of a risk, and cancel the order. Avoid local customer pickups because you want to be able to prove that their purchase was shipped. If you don't have some type of documentation, which is preferably gotten through shipment, tracking number, and etc., they can always claim that they never received their item and file a dispute, and that would just be not good. I would avoid local customer pickups unless you're on a platform like Shopify, which I heard they have an option where people can choose local pickup. If the customer chooses local pickup, that's a better route because that's in the system that they selected local pickup. And you'll still be doing this at your own risk because there is no guarantee that you'll win the dispute, even if the customer selects the local pickup option. But overall, you just want to have as much documentation as possible. And here's a quick video showing you information about the local pickup on Shopify. Create a terms and condition page on your site with all of your policies. That is very important. On your website, you should be having a terms and condition page with your policies. Communicate through email regarding your customer orders and make sure the information on the email, like their name, order number, and email address, matches the information on the order. So you don't want a case where they email you from another email that doesn't match what's on their order, and then they file a dispute against you, and then they claim that wasn't them because the email doesn't even match. So make sure that when you're discussing with the customer, you have that information on file and things match, so that if you need to provide that in as evidence, you're all good. Make sure you include a signature confirmation so the individual has to sign for their products before receiving them. And with some shipment services, you can even request for the specific person to sign for the package. So that is important. If you're shipping products, especially products that cost a lot of money, make sure that they have to sign for their package because this is another form of evidence if they decide to open a dispute. Make sure you're describing your products and services in detail. And if you're selling physical products, make sure your pictures are detailed and you have as much pictures as possible. Because if they file a dispute that the item is not as described and you don't have enough information on your site or you didn't provide enough pictures and all that stuff, it's going to negatively affect you. So make sure you're as detailed as possible. It's better to over-explain your products than to not explain them enough. You want to make sure your customer knows exactly what they're getting before it arrives to them. Drum roll, please. This is actually my favorite. The ninth thing you can do is to create an area at checkout where a customer needs to agree to all of your terms and conditions. And if your sale is final on your site, you also create an area where a customer agrees that they are aware that all sales are final on your site. This is my absolute favorite point of everything. If you have a final sell policy on your site, as customers are checking out, there should be a box or a checkbox or somewhere where they can check and say, I have read and understood all the terms and conditions on the site, and I understand that all sales are final before they can even make their purchase. Now I have this set up on my site, so in the next clip, I'll show you guys how it looks like on my site. So here's how it looks like on my second business, Valemion. I put in some fake customer information so we could get to point number 3 under important information. Now I just added this payment authorization section because of something that I'm currently going through. And here the customer has to verify that they're the owner of the card and that they authorized the payment. And then in the terms and service acceptance section, this section has always been here, but with this section, the customer has to accept all the terms of service for shopping on Valemion, and they also agree that they've read the terms of service and that they understand that all sales are final. So yes, it's important to include this section at checkout. Definitely have that in place. That is that way someone can't say, oh, I didn't read the policy, I didn't know, all those excuses. You have to check that checkout. You put the check mark at checkout, that you know the policy, that you read the policy, that you agree to the policy, and that you understand that sales are final on the policy. So unfortunately, about 1 or 2 days after I made this video, I received this email from my payment processor saying that they noticed a suspicious payment on my account for Valemion. And I was so sad about this. And I am still sad about this because it's still going on. I'm still waiting to see what happens. But this order was over $900. So if it doesn't go right, this is something I'm definitely going to have to seek legal action for. But I decided to add this number 10 because I don't want you guys to go through what I'm currently going through. So if I could give you guys as much feedback as possible to protect yourself, that is what I'm going to do. Okay, so I wrote a list of things that I'll definitely make sure to implement moving forward. Some of the stuff I have on this list I've already mentioned, so I'm not going to talk about it too much. But the ones that I did not mention, I will expound on a little bit more. Okay, so the first point is that if you feel funny about the transaction, immediately investigate or cancel it. It's not worth it. The second point is if you receive an order that is higher than usual, investigate it. So if you're used to getting orders that are that's like $20, $50, just small orders, and then you get a random order for $500 or $1,000, and this is from a customer that didn't previously contact you to show their interest, or this is just something that's very unusual for you, then you want to make sure to investigate it. The third point is that if you receive an order with a different billing and shipping address, make sure to investigate it. The fourth point is to protect yourself further, do not offer things like next day shipping. So usually when people are trying to commit a fraud on your business, what they'll do is they'll try to request for next day shipping, because if they can receive the item as soon as possible, then they're more likely to get away with what they're trying to do. So if possible, do not offer next day shipping if possible, okay? What typically happens if you wait, or it doesn't necessarily typically happen, but what can happen if you wait it out a little bit is that the card owner may notice fraudulent activity on their card, and then you'll get the fraud alert and you'll be able to cancel it before it even becomes a case because you've not shipped the item already. So it's better off that way than if you ship the item and then receive an alert of some type of fraud, okay? So the next point is to turn on your fraud analysis, which we've already mentioned earlier, so I'm not going to get into that one. The next point is that if you receive an order with a funny looking email address, make sure to investigate it. So if you get an email, the email is like 123 blah blah blue blue something unusual, make sure to investigate it, okay? Because something is not right. Okay, and the last point I wrote is to verify an order, ask for an ID which must match the billing information. And if the customer doesn't want to provide their ID, process the order through Zelle. And if they still feel uncomfortable processing the order through Zelle, they can just go about their business, okay? Just go about your business. If a customer cannot verify that they are the owner of this card, then it's okay to just tell them that you cannot complete the transaction and to cancel the order. Because it's not worth it if it's a fraud order and you have to go through all of this hassle, you know, just to try to get your funds back. It's not worth it. So here's a list of things that I'm going to be implementing more seriously moving forward. This is actually the reason I also created that other section on Valemion where it talks about you know, the payment authorization part, you know, because of this experience. So yes, I hope these tips help you guys. I sincerely do not want you guys to go through this hassle that I'm going through. It's not fun at all. Okay, so if I can give you guys as many tips as possible, even if it's 1 billion tips, I will. And honestly, I feel like if you implement all or most of these tips, you will be good overall, whether you're, you know, selling digital products or physical products. So hope this helps, and yes, thanks for watching. So anyways, my chargeback was more with like a digital product, so I didn't have to physically ship and get tracking number and all of that. But I think what helped me for sure was having the terms and conditions on my site and making sure that the customer had to check that they know that sales are final, and you know, that they read all my policies on all of that. I feel like that was the key point that helped me with my digital product. And also being very detailed with what they were getting, you know, with the digital product. I was very detailed. I even have a video talking about it, and I attached it to the information. Like, I was very detailed. So like I said, it's better to be over detailed than not detailed enough. So I think that those are the things that personally helped me with my chargeback, but I also threw in other tips that will help you whether you're doing a physical product that you're shipping or you're doing a digital product. So if you enjoyed this video, be sure to like, comment, and subscribe, and stay tuned for my next video. Bye.